once again to this Geek Syndicate Doctor Who review podcast. And we're edging towards the finale this week as we review episode 9 of this 2020 series of Doctor Who, which was titled Ascension of the Cybermen, not to be confused, of course, with Rise of the Cybermen. So I'm joined by Barry, as usual.
Hey,
not Cyber Barry, I hope.
Not Cyber Barry. Cyber Barry couldn't make it today, so he's just stuck with just regular human. I was going to say unprocessed Barry. That makes me sound like a tin of sardines or something.
Yeah. Unprocessed is. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's better.
Unconverted. That's what I meant. Unconverted Barry.
Yeah. So I kind of got all sides of image in my head now that I don't want.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
No one wants Cyber Barry or unprocessed Barry.
Especially being as Cyber Barry effectively comes in a tin.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, good point. See what you did there. Loving your work.
I'll start off with the old blurb, which is as follows. The aftermath of the great cyber war. The Doctor arrives in the far future, intent on protecting the last of the human race from the deadly Cybermen. But in the face of such a relentless enemy, has she put her best friends at risk? What terrors lie hiding in the depths of space? And what is Ko-Shamus? There we go. So this was obviously two-part finale, episode 1, written by showrunner Chris Chibnall. Give me some thoughts.
My thoughts were that actually, overall, I really enjoyed the episode. I did. Once again, I think I got to see more of Jodie's Doctor that I've been waiting for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just in some of her conversations. And again, I continue to say, is it Ashad? Is that his name?
Yes, it is, yeah, which means lion.
Ooh.
I hadn't picked up that he'd got a name last episode. So.
No, me neither. Yeah, and I think especially she really comes to the fore when she does sort of face off against Ashad. So yeah, I thought this was a really good episode. I think I probably preferred the previous episode in some ways, because this felt much more like holding your breath before you can, take a breath, because obviously we're going to get all the big reveals and all the big mysteries and all the rest of it. And I kind of felt like there wasn't enough. To me, it feels like what's happened now, and this isn't a diss on the episode, because as I said, I enjoyed the episode, but I feel they've left themselves a hell of a lot to do in the last episode, and my worry is it might be too much.
Yeah, I'd sort of agree with that. I was expecting some things to come out a bit more this episode.
Yeah.
To give a bit more breathing room to the last episode. I mean, having said that, like you, I thought the pacing of this episode was really good. The B plot, I think, obviously is going to feed into the timeless child type stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's going, because obviously. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, see, the B plot, I liked it. We'll get onto theories and stuff. I liked it, but I kind of felt like I needed there to be a little bit more of an answer to what was going on, even if it's only a pointer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It very much felt, obviously it is a cliffhanger, but it very much felt like I didn't really get anything from that in terms of, right, I know what's going on there, or I know where this could be heading. Well, I think I do know where it could be heading. I don't think I'm saying it in the right way.
I do know what you mean. It almost felt like a complete standalone thing.
Yes.
In the episode.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Yeah, I said I don't have a problem with that. And I think if you are the kind of person who has maybe waited and are watching these back to back, it becomes less of an issue anyway.
Yeah.
But that's kind of not the point of Doctor Who in my head.
Yeah.
But I mean, before, well, I just want to talk about Cybermen.
Okay.
First, just because you know me and Cybermen.
Yeah.
They're my favourites, and I've got to say I hadn't even noticed last week, but Ashad he's like an amalgam of all the different Cybermen we've seen since the series restarted in 2005.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's got the chest unit of the Nightmare in Silver kind of Cybermen, and the back bits with the kind of like the like the lights on the back, the blue lights on the back. He's got the helmet of a Cybermen from Rise of the Cybermen, and he's got one of his arms is one of the Cybermondacian arms.
Ah.
And I hadn't noticed that last week, but it kind of like because if I had, I'd have commented that he was very much a Frankenstein's monster kind of Cyberman.
Yeah.
Which really tied well into that episode, so I'm gutted I hadn't picked up on that.
Yeah, good point.
But yeah, it was only when I was looking at because I really love the new Cybermen designs they've got in this. So the ones that were revealed in the pods,
yeah,
they just feel like the most pure cyber design we've seen, certainly in the new series. But I think even going back, they're a perfect sort of amalgam of what's come before, and a good pointer to sort of like back to they're harkening back now to sort of like the Invasion, Patrick Troughton episode, and Revenge of the Cybermen, which was also set after a great cyber war. So I think it was quite fitting that they had elements of them that reflected those two designs, particularly the Revenge of the Cybermen, which, as I say, was also where like the weakness to gold and stuff was caught out.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing I really liked about this, was the callbacks to those previous episodes. So when the Doctor turns up with the defenses,
that was cool.
She's got like the turning off their emotion inhibitor, which is what happened in the Rise of the Cybermen 2-parter with David Tennant. That's how he defeated them. Yeah. Then like they're allergic to gold, which was a callback to, as they Revenge of the Cybermen and Earthshock, and indeed Silver Nemesis from back in the day. So I loved all that. The things I didn't like were the cyber drones.
Yeah, what was all that about? It kind of, because I actually thought the opening sort of scenes were quite epic, and the pacing was really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that they turned up and it's like, we haven't got time to mess about. We're here to help you. You got to let us help you. There's no time for big speeches. Just let us do our thing, and then you were getting the information whilst they were setting stuff up. And I think even that could have just felt like a massive info dump, which would have seemed weird given the fact you haven't got a lot of time. But the way they did it, I thought worked well.
Yeah, and it was the fact that they were clearly setting up, it's not like they stopped setting up to have the conversation.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, and like Graham was like, look, I don't really understand, but this is what I've been told. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it just fit and worked.
Yeah, and naturally, you got the last survivors, and naturally you kind of would ask, well, what's that going to do, And I really enjoyed all that, and I was waiting I knew the defenses weren't going to work, but I thought we would maybe see, because I wasn't expecting there to not be any waves of Cybermen to the end. So I was expecting like a load to like rock up, and they would eventually get through the defenses, like the first wave they'd take out.
Yeah.
So when the drones things turned up, and I was like, they just didn't fit in the setting you'd given it. It would have not made more sense, because in some ways, plot-wise, they did make sense, but it would have been better if it had been the ship, because the ships look cool as. Yeah,
the ship's designs were amazing.
Yeah. So for me, it would have looked much better if it'd been one of the shuttles had come in and just targeted all the defenses. You would have had exactly the same scene.
Yeah, I think for me, I didn't mind so much that there were drones. It was just the fact that they were just floating Cyberman heads.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
and if there'd have been like, I don't know, cybernetic crows or something, or cybernetic eagles, that makes more sense to me, because we know the Cybermen use things like cybermats, which are effectively cybernetic rats.
Right.
So they're designed they need a small sort of infiltration unit, so they took a rat which does that job in nature sort of thing and converted it. So in my head, that's what they would do. They would take a bird and they would cybernetic, because it was already have the optics to do that kind of role sort of thing. So that was more my kind of thing. Having said that, and having said I didn't like the heads, one thing I really loved was the impact of those weapons. Yes. It's like when they were shooting, and it was just the sound and the explosions and everything just worked. Yeah. It was like you felt under threat as a viewer.
Yeah.
Because of that kind of that punch that they had. And I absolutely loved that.
And I've got to say, again, the survivors, there was a couple of them that I quite warmed to quite quickly. They had limited sort of screen time, but actually they did a good job with the screen time that they had.
Yes.
And I especially like, I mean, I've got a theory, but I especially like the sort of young, I say young kid, he's obviously like a teenager or whatever, that ended up with the Doctor and Ryan on the ship.
Yeah, for me, it was a stark contrast between him as a tech savvy kid and the actual kid who was tech savvy they had in Orf 55.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like just worlds apart in how they were written and presented.
Yeah.
One showed you that that's what you could do. The other one you were pretty much told, sort of thing. And I like the fact that the Doctor was there, kind of like, oh, I can do this because of that, and he's like, look, I've been doing this since I was 4, love, sort of thing.
Yeah. And there was even a kind of like Terminator vibe to it.
Yeah.
Like he was like the Resistance. It's kind of like, my dad taught me how to hotwire cyber ships, how to do this, how to like make them burn. I've been doing this since I was 4. And again, it could have come across as cheesy, but his delivery was really good.
Yeah, it was spot on. And again, I mean, we spoke about it last week a bit, but that's one of the things I love about Cybermen is that implacability and the fact that all you can do at this point as a group of survivors is run.
Yeah.
And they're going to find you.
Yeah.
They're going to catch up with you. They might not be quick at doing it, but they're going to do it because they're relentless and they've got it in their logic circuits to take you out. You getting taken out.
Also, I've got to say, since Who has come back, yes, you could count them. You could count the Master or whatever, but Ashad is one of the best Who villains since this show's come back.
Yes, I would completely agree with that. He's chilling.
Yeah, because when he was giving him, when he was kind of, and even though you kind of knew what was going to happen, when he sort of said, "Oh, you've got courage, but you're a lion," and took out the old guy, and then it was like, should I kill you? And you could almost like see him like, do I kill you, or should I just send you off on your way? And you can tell everyone that we're coming and blah. And he's just his delivery.
Yeah.
He almost feels like Shakespearean villain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love villains like that. I love monologuing villains. It's my bread and butter.
So a shout out to, I didn't notice his name on the credits last time because he was credited as Ashad as well in last week's episode. So it's Patrick O'Kane is the name of the actor.
Right.
And massive round of applause to him because again, this week, same as last week, just every time he was on screen, he just ruled it.
He just sells it. And I think, like you say, the design to sort of have that half human, whatever he is, half human, half Cyberman look. Genius.
And I love that bit of his backstory where he's like, I volunteered for this. I volunteered to become Cyberman and I was almost like rejected sort of thing. And that's where his anger comes from.
Yeah.
Is the fact that he's not a full Cyberman.
Yeah.
And again, it kind of like, it told you it, but in a way that made sense for the plot. Yeah. And the only thing I didn't like about that exchange it was having with the Doctor was her sort of like attempt at a quip afterwards where she's like, oh, I'll have to start charging you for therapy. Which felt like that slipped back to that previous Jodie kind of thing. Like with the like we talked about with the exchange with the Dalek in Resolution.
Yes. Yeah.
It felt like, but having said that, it wasn't just a quip. It was kind of like oh, bugger, I thought I was going to have a point here sort of thing. Yeah. And you could see her kind of thinking her way through, and the babbling was kind of just a
way.
Yeah. So it didn't rile with me as much as it possibly could have done. Because if she'd have delivered that in the flippant kind of way, it would have lost all kind of like, it would have taken a lot of the emotion out of the whole exchange.
Yeah.
So again, kudos to Jodie, kudos to the director, kudos to Patrick for his side as well. And I mean, he's superb.
Yeah.
I can't say that enough.
I can't fault him. Yeah, I said I thought it was brilliant, and I thought there was the scene where he goes, where they open up like the Cyberman containers, and you've got the first Cyberman there, and then he starts drilling into the Cyberman, and the Cyberman starts screaming, and it's like, what kind of Cyberman can make another Cyberman scream? Do you know what I mean? You're like,
and also, more to the point, why?
Yeah, why? Yeah.
But it just added that level of like almost, I don't know, an insane kind of logic that he's got going on. That he's now like the messiah of the cyber.
you're saying like a Messiah type character, which is, I think it's a very common. He also had a bit of a Davros vibe going for him.
Yeah, that's fair.
He kind of feels like, obviously he didn't create some. Well, he's reviving them, but he's got that kind of Davros, not only in his manner, but also in that kind of just that deluded insanity. That I'm meant to do this.
Yes, that he's been placed here to do this. Yeah, exactly. Which is, as you say, it's exactly Davros.
And again, it's that idea of he isn't the perfect one. He isn't he isn't the embodiment of of the creation. Do you know what I mean? Now, Davros isn't a Dalek. He's just kind of like half Dalek, half. Is it Khaled? Was that the race?
Khaled, yeah.
Khaled, yeah. He's just unfinished, model, for want of a better word. So from that perspective, it shares a lot of similarities to Ashad.
Yes. Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about that till you said, to be fair, but that's a very good comparison. And it does give, the whole point of Davros being created as a character was to give the Daleks a voice that wasn't just Daleks squawking at each other. And it feels like Ashad serving the same sort of role as well.
Yes.
So, even like in an off-screen kind of way, they're very similar characters, but in a good way.
Yeah, doing a grand old job. And I feel if done right, and Jodie was to go on to do, a couple more series, and they didn't kill him off, he's the sort of character that if you left him out of it for a series, and then you suddenly brought him back in, there, people are, oh shit, it's on now if he's back in.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, I kind of want to talk about we say the B plot, but is it the B plot or is it the A plot?
Well, it was the B plot for that episode.
Yes.
But very much probably the in brackets A plot of the whole season.
So, what do you think is going on in that plot?
So,
because I've got my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, clearly that child was left on that road deliberately for whatever reason. We know that there's something not quite right about Brendan because he got shot and fell off that cliff without a scratch, which kind of made me feel like, is he a proto Time Lord, like an early Gallifreyan, doing some kind of like cell regeneration but without regeneration. The thing that confused me though and threw me off that a little bit was sort of towards the end of the cliffhanger on that side of it, where the guys turn up and basically tell him they're going to wipe his memories.
Yeah.
And it's going to hurt and it's for the best and all the rest of it. But so I didn't know what was going on there, sort of thing. So that sort of threw me a little bit. And I've seen a couple of bits because I was having a look online today, and a couple of reviewers seem to have misinterpreted a couple of bits, in my opinion, because for one thing, they seem to think that all the boundary always went to Gallifrey, which it didn't, according to the words that were said in the episode. And also, they then thought that he was going to be Ashad. So Brendan.
Yes, to begin with, that was what I thought. But the more it went on, and even down to when they put the headset on him, it had a kind of Cyberman kind of look to it. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, another part of me felt, why would you spend that much time on him for him to become Ashad? I'm like, do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like you've done such a good job on his character anyway.
Yeah, he didn't need anything.
He didn't need it. Besides which, he said in the previous episode that, like, he had kids and he killed them when they joined the Resistance. And I got a sense that he was on a whole other planet.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was clearly in the future, in the CyberWars.
Yeah. I think it's more linked to the Time Lords.
Yeah, and for me, I think it would be, things that I deem to be mistakes have happened before, and they've happened quite well a lot of the time. But for me, it would also be a mistake if the whole idea is that he becomes the timeless child, because that, I don't know, that doesn't sit well with me. And I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why. It's because I hate things being linked for the case of being, just for the sake of being linked.
Yeah.
And to have kind of like Gallifreyans almost be created by a Cyberman, which was created by humans, it's too much for me. But, I mean, that's not to say that couldn't work.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be, like I said, and I've said this the minute they've started, they're really doubling down this whole timeless child thing, that I think next week's episode is going to split people. Because I'm kind of hoping, not for the reasons that you might think, I'm kind of hoping they don't go this way, but the way it feels set up to me is that humanity is effectively the Time Lords.
Yeah, I'm getting a slight sense of that, and yeah, I hope they're not doing that.
And it's going to be that whole kind of like, oh, that's why you've always been drawn to Earth, and that's why you've always protected Earth, and blah, 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 because actually Earth is your home when you really think about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even though like Gallifrey is destroyed, but you've got Earth, and on one hand, there's a neatness to it, but on the other hand, I've always liked the idea of it's an alien that is traveling around the universe having adventures and has chosen to sort of protect Earth because she finds Earth quirky and likes Earth. Do you know what I mean? Just likes Earth.
Just likes humans, yeah.
Just like humans, rather than you having to tie it all up with a neat little bow.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'd completely missed this in the episode where they were experiencing their nightmares. And she sees supposedly the timeless child. I hadn't realised, because I hadn't really been paying attention, to be fair, that it's a young black girl.
Oh, okay.
When you go back and watch it, I went and watched it on YouTube. Like I said, it happened so quickly, I didn't even really look. It's a young black girl.
Okay.
And you got to think, this is her, what the master said was like, this is something all buried in our subconscious and blah, blah, blah. So it's either, so in my mind, that feels too close for it to set up wise that it's not Ruth. But we've already established that Ruth is an incarnation of the Doctor. We just don't know in which direction. And if she's seeing her past, which has been wiped out or whatever by the Time Lords, then are they going to say that Ruth predates Hartnell?
Which is one of the theories that's been banded around since that episode.
Yeah.
I had, we discussed them at the time, so it's not worth going over it now. But
No.
I had objections to why I think that shouldn't be the case. But that's not to say it couldn't be the case. And given that piece of evidence, which I certainly hadn't twigged on, I'm going to actually go back and watch that again to see that. So yeah, I mean.
But also, I keep coming back to the fact that when the Master found out what they'd done, and we still don't know what they'd done, because he said it's the greatest lie, blah blah blah. He went back and obliterated Gallifrey. And I don't know, it just seems that the whole kind of actually we're humans seems to me a little bit of an overreaction.
I don't know if it does for the Master, because he likes to feel superior.
What, so basically him finding out that he's descended from humans?
Yeah. Basically, he's an ape.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That could, yes.
So talking about the Master and sort of his, obviously he reappeared at the end of the episode.
Also as well, I just love that dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, that kind of, I say it goes without saying. I don't think it does go without saying, because I think these things need to be said.
Yeah, and also I think because of seeing the little trailer for next week and stuff, I think we're going to get some quality Doctor talking to the Master face-offs, which is, again, the next week's episode has the potential to be a very, very, very good episode. in terms of bringing the best out of Jodie, because we've already established that when she was with the Master, her performance went up, and when she was with Ashad, her performance went up. I want to say her performance went up. That's not what I mean, but as in it brings out a different side of the Doctor, those particular characters, as opposed to her performance gets better. That's probably a better way to say it. So you've literally got a season finale or series finale with those two kind of powerhouse villains and her. I think that's a pretty good place to be in. Yeah,
absolutely. As I say, I have kind of like anxiety is wrong word. I've got reservations about the finale. But actually, I think it's going to be good. Whether I enjoy it, I think it's going to be good.
I think it's going to be good. Whether or not I think my term is, I think it will be good. Whether or not I'll agree with it,
yes,
we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the moment, that's what I mean. Unless it's a double bluff, because the whole thing with the old guy who had a bit of a Gandalf vibe going through him, and I liked him. I actually thought he was going to turn out to be Brendan for some reason, and he was like immortal or something. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, he still could, to be fair.
Yeah. I quite liked that when it shifted to Gallifrey, he said something like, "It's never done that before."
Yeah.
Or it's never looked like that. Now, whether or not he's saying it's never looked like, no, because he would have just said that when they passed through, they went to like a shining city or something. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So, in my mind, one of the things he said about the boundary, it's constantly changing and shifting.
Yeah, which is why the Cybermen couldn't find them, because if they went through, they'd wind up somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. So if it was supposed to be like a straight portal to Gallifrey, well, that wouldn't make sense, because you'd just go through and boom, you're in Gallifrey.
Mm.
So it could be that bit is a double bluff for us, and actually the Master's manipulated it in a way so he's been able to cross back.
Yeah. That was more my kind of thought. And then also, again, given like the trailer for next week, the fact that obviously the Cybermen are like set course for Gallifrey, so I think it's kind of almost going to make them more aware of Gallifrey.
Yeah.
As something to where there's an objective for them.
Yeah. Again, I like the fact that the companions were all split up. I feel it was a better use of them as well.
Yeah, Yaz and Graham actually work really well together as a team.
Yeah, I thought so.
Which, I mean, they're the two I've always thought were the stronger companions anyway, in terms of the stuff that they've been given to do, and that kind of thing. And I quite like the fact that, like you said the other week, where Yaz is clearly, when separated from the Doctor, she tries to take on that Doctor role.
Yeah.
Which, you could see as blind optimism, but there's an element of good on you, girl, sort of thing.
Yeah. Also, as well, she's a copper, so she's obviously got that,
Yes, she's got that drive and that.
Yeah.
And that kind of desire to help as well.
Because the other thing would be that Brendan would be an even earlier incarnation of Doctor, but I don't know about that bit. I might be a bit too far. I don't know. It's just that whole fact that he's a policeman and the TARDIS is a police box. Now, I know this whole it got stuck in the chameleon circuit thing, and maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but I don't know. I just think the fact that if he's going to turn out to be like an early Time Lord and blah, 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 I don't know.
There is also an element of, while yes, there are the Whovians out there who are going to go, it got stuck in Totter's Lane, blah, blah, blah. There is also the fact that actually it doesn't matter in Doctor Who, because stuff gets rewritten all the time anyway, new stuff gets retconned in, stuff gets retconned out. So as long as it's done well, and actually that would be a potential reason why, of all the shapes it got stuck in, it was a police box.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to rule it out based on previous lore, as it were.
Yeah.
I don't like saying canon, because canon's not a good word, I don't think, for Doctor Who. But certainly lore, the lore of the series is that that's what happened, but the lore of the series changes.
Yeah.
So I think as you said earlier, I think they've got a lot to wrap up. It feels to me like there might be too much.
Yeah, because I feel when you think about it, you've got your Ashad is your big bad. You've got the Master in there. I don't necessarily think the Master is going to be the big bad. I just think he's going to be in it, if that makes sense. But also you've set up this whole thing with another incarnation of the Doctor, which is Ruthless Doctor.
Yeah.
I can't believe that you've thrown such a massive, not spanner, but twist in there, and we're gonna get that whole episode and she isn't in it.
Yeah.
I can't see that. So given the fact that's like, that's 4 powerhouse people in there, you know what I mean? The Doctor, Rufus Doctor, Master, Ashad. That's a lot to juggle for one episode, plus the big reveal of whatever the Timeless Child is. That is a lot.
Plus foiling the Cybermen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
plus Brendan.
Yes, yeah. That's what I mean. It's so either it's going to be all wrapped up in a neat little bow, to which it might feel rushed, I don't know, or there's going to be stuff that's going to be left hanging. Which it doesn't really tend to do, though, does it?
Not really. They tend to... No, they do tend to kind of like tie up most things. I suppose you had like things tend to get to be done in a season where they've got like an arc. It's usually a 1-season arc, and they might start dropping hints about the next arc in the previous season, but it's only pointers sort of thing rather than main strands. And this has certainly been the main strands for the series.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm
very much looking forward to it.
If nothing else, this episode has done exactly what a part 1 of a finale should do, which is make me look forward to it.
Yeah.
And leave me with questions. Yeah, leave me with questions.
Yeah.
Leave me not being able to guess all the answers, and even the ones that I have sort of theorized about, they're probably way out. So it's done everything that a part 1 of a finale should do. I just hope it doesn't let me down on the wrap up.
Yeah, agreed.
And speaking of wrap ups,
nicely done, sir.
There's nothing else you want to discuss, is there?
No. I feel we've covered our bases fully. We even got over time. So
yeah. So again, let us know what you think. You can get in touch with us.
The Geeks at geeksyndicate.co.uk is where you can.
That's why you're the boss.
Indeedy.
Or Geek Syndicate on Twitter. It's Barry. I'm at Wedgedock. We have the website. We have the Facebook. Come along. Let us know what you think. Tell us what you thought of this episode. Tell us what you think is going to happen in the next episode. And I'm looking forward to it. Sounds like Barry's looking forward to it.
Very much so.
We will talk to you again after the finale. What was the finale called again, B?
The Timeless Children.
Yeah, so we will see you again when we talk about the Timeless Children. Cheerio.
Bye all.